Hey everyone, Sylvia from Shmaybe here with even more opinions about Wheel of Time and the first book, Eye of the World. Oh my god, I love the Ogier dude. He is the greatest. He is Loial. Was that his name? Anyway, returning to something that I was curious about. I'm still not sure about the significance. I see the reasoning behind it, the significance behind dragon's fang mark on someone's door. It is to mark someone as an enemy of the people, I guess, as a dark friend, as someone who is not wanted, unwelcome. La-di-da. It's like the opposite of Gandalf's mark on Bilbo's doors. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm being unfair. Not everything has to relate to Tolkien. That's unfair. But yeah. What's the deal? Because the false dragon, quote unquote, Loial. I went back and I reread the prologue. Now, I understand a bit more, and thanks to the comments as well, I understand a bit more of the backstory of the breaking of the world. Did not spoil anything for myself, just the prologue again. But still, I guess it's just one of those things that will be revealed in time. Or it's just an element of world building. I'm not hating on it, it's just... Well, I'm still curious about it. What I'm not curious about is Matt. I changed my mind, he's not growing on me. Matt, you're a bullhead. A traumatized, beaten by life, possibly cursed by an artifact from a dead city, woolhead. But still a woolhead. There's nothing wrong with you. You have a roof over your head, a friend who wants to take care of you, and you're still being I don't want to say the B word, it's just maybe tone it down a bit. But best part about these chapters, best part was the Loial, the Ogier, who looks like he's from what I understand, a separate race. They are tall and somewhat similar features like Trollocs, but they are not evil apparently. And Loial looks like a scholarly Ogier, which is unexpected. Honestly, I did not expect... when I started reading, when that scene came, when Rand walks into the room and starts to admire the library, and he is kind of surprised by Loial, I stopped reading for a bit and I was like, oh, so Robert Jordan is subverting expectations that early, if at all, because I fully expected, I admit, for Trollocs to be a evil for evilness sake race like orcs, but I was wrong on several accounts. First of all, there are more creatures than Trollocs, and Ogiers are such creatures, and this was an Ogier. And B, they're not evil, so there's no that kind of cheap subversion happening here. And Loial is absolutely delightful. I loved his dialogue. I love his conversation with Rand. I love the fact that their council is called the Stump, because Ogier are a sort of a nature people who are capable of shaping, building stuff with the woods. They admire groves. They are one with nature. And I'm such a sucker for just the gentle giant trope. Maybe it's not the trope here at hand. Maybe all of them, all of the Ogiers as a species, as a race, are like that. But still, he was delightful. It was great. One bit of the conversation between them, between Rand and Loial, was interesting for the, I guess, mythology at large, when Rand kind of spills out his life story to him, despite himself, and Loial's reaction is, well, you are maybe one of those rare people for whom the, I guess, wheel loosens up a bit, well, when it weaves. It's an interesting concept. He goes to explain that everything has been already written, everything has been already weaved as we know it, but there are still small changes that could be made in one's life, in one's fate. So I kind of got it in a way that fate rubber bands a bit, if that makes sense. So if it's a small change, the weaving, your fate will correct itself. It will adjust to the change. But if you're going against the wave, I guess, it's gonna retaliate. So, for example, if, I don't know, you're going to live your life in one village for the rest of your life and never marry, but you get in your head one day that I absolutely must go to the neighboring town in the midst of a winter to a party, and then you meet someone there and then you marry that person, the weave will correct itself. You'll still live your life as a villager, you'll still be in that vicinity, but a small change is possible. So it's not completely predetermined. Rather, the results are predetermined, but the road to these results can vary. It's not written to the word. I'm sorry, Wheel of Time veterans, if I'm misremembering things, or if I am being a complete woolhead and not comprehending what I'm reading. I'm sorry. But yeah, that was interesting. Also, one more thing. So, the guys are finally in the large city. They meet a person, an old friend who was this friend's name. They got it from Thom when they were escaping the fate, and they kind of confide into him, and he tries to help them. He is this innkeeper, and we find out that Thom was a lover of the queen, Rara Gleeman, lover of the Camelin queen, but because he had this thing that happened with his nephew, he had a fallout with the queen, and he was on the run, and la la la. That was interesting, that was good, but what I wanted to talk about was the atmosphere in the city. So everyone's gathered in Camelin because there are news and rumors that Logain, the false dragon, this figure who can wield one power, who is stirring trouble in the kingdom, is going to be taken to the queen there and then shipped off to the Aes Sedai place. Okay. But the atmosphere in the city was tense, and it was sort of, I wouldn't say revealing. I was impressed with Jordan's writing because during the grueling, chapters where Rand and Matt had to be on their own, and they still are for the large part, they were in such fight or fright mode all the time. They were starving, they were tired, they were on the run. They really had no time to reflect on things that happened. They had time to think, to wallow in their misery. Matt certainly did, but they had no time to reflect. And I am liking Matt's sort of reflection because I think that there was a lot of growing up that happened, and ultimately them separating, as traumatic as that was. They did grow up. At least Rand did. I'm still not sure about Matt. I hope he did. I hope he will. But Rand definitely did. Because he's much more aware of the surroundings. I'm not talking about the terrain. He's a shepherd after all. I'm talking about the contrast of his naivete and his not wariness. He's not wary. He's just very careful. He thinks things out. There's this sequence where, so since the atmosphere in the city is tense, you have two major factions. You have the White Cloaks, the religious zealots, who disapprove anything that's related to Aes Sedai, and the fact that Aes Sedai is a queen's counselor really irks them. And then you have people who support the queen. And there's this whole, I wouldn't say subculture forming, but you have people who dress a specific way, hold themselves a specific way, navigate the city in a specific way that you really need to be keenly aware of your surroundings, especially if you just got into the city. And Rand is, unlike Matt, he is spending time trying to gather information, scouring the city, and he is able to navigate these spaces between the guards, the White Cloaks, and everyone else. So that was good for you, Rand. You are a man. Well, sort of. I guess you are. Back to the group of Nynaeve and Moraine and Lan. We had a little segment that I like to call Metal Gear Solid Wisdom Walker. Because the trail of one of the boys, Perrin, leads them to the camp where the White Cloaks are holding Perrin and Egwene. Lan, as he is convinced, he knows that Nynaeve has skills in tracking and being hard to detect. He asks her for help. The plan will be Nynaeve will create a diversion. Nynaeve should sneak around and just sabotage their horses without being seen, so when the actual thing happens, when they're running away with Perrin and Egwene, they'll have an element of surprise and they'll have enough time to escape because, the horses will be sabotaged. And she does exactly that. Also, there was this really nice point where Nynaeve caught herself Nynaeve caught herself curmudgeonly trusting Moraine a bit. But yeah. And we have the group rejoined, at least partially, which was expected, but I liked the way it was done. Because as much as I enjoyed the White Cloak's commander, the charismatic evil guy, his first in command, the sadistic dude, he was such a cartoon villain. And the little segment with him kind of wink wink nudge nudge, hey Perrin, so there is this thing, my boss is super great and I'm so in love with him, but you're kind of a burden to us, you're creating more trouble than you're worth. We do need to investigate you and your wolf magic and stuff, but we also need to get to this place quickly. So if we're to say look away and I drop this sharp rock and you escape somehow, that would solve our problem. And Perrin is not a fool. Even before the wolves contact him and say the help is on the way, he thinks this through. He has this desperate thought in his head. Think, you need to get this right. If this is a trap, there is no way back. And he does think this is a trap because the guy hates him. The guy is a sadist. He's a sociopath. He's evil. And even if he has the intention of letting him go, he will not leave. He's gonna kill him anyway. It's a given. So that was good. I wish Egwene had more to do during this time than being distressed. But again, they all went through a lot of trauma. I get that, but still. So Egwene and Perrin are reunited with Nynaeve, Lan, and Moraine. And an interesting thing happened where Nynaeve notices Perrin's yellow eyes. Ooh. And apparently that's not normal, that's not common. That was actually quite interesting because I enjoyed the way Robert Jordan handled this reveal, which was not really a reveal. It was Nynaeve noticed the color of his eyes and she asked if, after examining Perrin, is there anything that Moraine can do? Can she heal anything? And Moraine's response is, there's not much to heal. This is Perrin now. But Robert Jordan did this without going into exposition dump mode. He didn't go, oh, you see, his yellow eyes indicate that he has control over wolves and he is this skinwalker, whatever he is, and this and that, and this is how this relates to ancient magics or the Dark One or nothing else. No. And I especially appreciate the conversation between Lan and Perrin, because both of them are men of so few words. And then it went like, so Lan, you know. I know. Does it come from the Dark One? No, it doesn't. Okay. So, yeah, and of course, yeah, we also find out a little tidbit that Elias, the man who guided Perrin to become this type of magic user, whatever he is, also was sort of a mentor figure to Lan himself, which is also cool. It's not one of those things that, oh, how convenient, what a coincidence. No, I think this is a thing that builds up on the whole story and structure. And again, I think that Robert Jordan is kind of getting away with some stuff because Wheel of Time is spinning and new eras are coming and time is eternal and fate is the king, so a lot of conveniences, plot contrivances that can happen just so that the plot can go in a specific direction can be explained away with the wheel. And it's fine, because I don't think this is bad writing, because it's built up on this concept of cyclical, I guess, nature of existence, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I wish we knew a little bit about the Inquisition, the Red Ajar. I call it Inquisition, but yeah. This was really well paced. The last few chapters, this is real good. I'm really invested. I hope that they don't drag out the section with. I hope they don't reunite the rest of the group at the very end of the last chapter. I hope the group, my prediction at least, is that Rand runs into Perrin or Egwene during the Loghain Expo in the city, in the inner city. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone, and see you in the next couple of chapters. I'm fired up, and Robert Jordan is firing on all cylinders, and I'm seeing the kind of the reason behind his popularity right now. It started a bit slow, which I don't mind. I like slow burns, but it also started a bit formulaic. But I also think that he has his own voice, and I like his authorial voice. So, see you next time.